A university professor from Australia arrived this week to assess the sustainability of Niue's environment. According to Professor Linson, Niue's situation is not unusual for a small island state in its capacity to sustainably develop environmental mechanisms to assist.
From experience, there are two main issues on small and isolated islands. The first one is waste, and the other one is energy. The first issue, as you know, because of the limitations in space, at least on Norfolk, was a problem of where to put all the waste, especially like bottles that come from Australia, or here stuff that gets imported from New Zealand and produces a lot of waste, plastic and other sorts of waste, and where to put it. There's not much space, and also the conditions under which this waste is disposed. For example, you burn it, or it creates toxic fumes. That's an issue. So there's obviously has to be done something about it so it doesn't pollute the environment. And one thing that the people on Norfolk Island were talking about was an incinerator. Right? That would be, of course, like what you could call it, an end-of-pipe solution, like where you accept the problem and you throw out some technology at it to get rid of the problem. Other people on Norfolk were saying, well, why not create less waste in the first place and do more stuff on the island rather than importing the waste in the first place from the mainland. So these are ideas that you can throw around on the waste issue. When it comes to energy, you know very well that all the fuel gets imported. It comes in the containers. The silos were destroyed in the cyclone. So, but it's very precious. It's I don't even know yet what the electricity rates are here. But on Norfolk Island, electricity was 5 times more expensive than on the mainland. So. Typically for small islands, fuel is a very high proportion of what people pay that they have to import from outside. So to conserve energy, electricity and fuel, has a lot of benefits, not just for the wallet, but also for the environment.
Challenges like lack of resources and the manpower to implement most of the projects is always an issue in small islands.
What is there now on the island probably has to be dealt with in conventional ways. That means it is now here, and unless you reckon that it will be here long term and have some disposal facilities on the island, which are expensive, as you say, that's probably with what is here the only way that can be done. But in the long term, and I think strategically thinking in the long term, you could think about how actually to create less waste. For example, you mentioned the batteries in the car. On Norfolk it was plastic bottles. So think about how could you perhaps design a way to get people on Niue around the place without having so many cars and producing so many batteries that then you'd have to dispose of in some way. How can you, have drinks and food for Niuean people without importing them so much with the packaging from the mainland? For example, could you talk to your suppliers and say, get us the stuff without the packaging, get us it in bulk because we deal with waste problems. On Norfolk, how they dealt with it was very unusual way. There was one guy who was very concerned about it. Brad Forrester is his name. What he did is he built a soft drink factory on Norfolk Island. Norfolk Island has about 2,500 residents, so few more, but not many more than in Niue. And for that population, he built a soft drink factory. He went to Australia and bought up used and decommissioned soft drink factories from the mainland who used to use glass bottles instead of plastic bottles. He shipped that to Norfolk Island and built a soft drink factory himself. And he saved so many thousands of tons of waste coming to Norfolk by recycling his glass bottles, and distributing them around the island. It's just amazing what the guy did. But the passion for the environment, and he made it. He's done it. He's selling his soft drinks now in Norfolk. It's a great way. And that's what I'm hoping to show the decision makers here and discuss whether this is one idea that can be done here. Because the fuels are so much more expensive because of the shipping costs. They have to be brought here, obviously. So on Norfolk Island, people felt financially stressed because they paid such high electricity prices, 50 cents a kilowatt hour. So what one guy, for example, did, I talked to a pig farmer. That's another example of yet simply one individual who took initiative on his own. What he did is, because he had pigs, and with the effluent, it creates methane. Rather than letting it all, emanate into the atmosphere, what he did, he built out of concrete a bell and captured that methane gas from his pigs, and just the methane from 70 pigs that he had was enough to cook all the ham and make all the cooking for the meat and products that he sold on the market, plus to generate his own electricity. And that's just one example, that you be creative, and from the resources that you have, create energy. Another example that could be applicable here is coconuts, because this biomass if there is one asset that Niue has, it has biomass, right? You have a reasonably large area. Niue is larger than the whole entire Cook Islands together. And on that landmass, you can actually produce biomass and create a limited amount of electricity yourself if it works, for example, through building a digester.
Professor Linson is on the island for 1 week researching data and will leave the island tomorrow.